this is just before the Eurovision Song Contest, and this was just an article because I was learning about it basically. But I'm just going to read out some things from it because, like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't watch the Eurovision Song Contest, but I just found this interesting. So this May Muller, 25-year-old Londoner, will hope to continue the UK's wild uptick in Eurovision fortune with her cheetah-dissing pop anthem, I Wrote a Song. Just think about that.
That represents Britain.
Yeah, I wrote a song, right? And the whole thing, I'm not going to subject you to any of it for copyright reasons, but also for your own sanity. It's literally just a song about her being dumped by a boyfriend and writing a song about it.
Very postmodern.
Very. It's just the most atomized individual. Like, I'm thinking of me. I'm ostensibly representing your entire country. And it's just me, I. It's like, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying you have to write a song about Britain or anything like that. I'm saying that the tenor and the content of the song that you choose does say a lot about this country.
Yeah.
Or at least says a lot about London. Anyway.
Wow, indeed.
Yeah, and she's got the worst accent, just the worst London accent. And it's just like, ugh. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I'm not saying she's done anything wrong here necessarily, but it's just, this is very revealing about what kind of country we are, right? Yes. But like I said, we'll get to the German one. It is very revealing about what kind of country the Germans
Very
are.
quickly as well, we were talking about the concept of representation there. I mean, the constituency that she is representing clearly is 25-year-old atomized, anywhere people Londoners.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's no wonder that these people are kind of like, I hate Britain. Well, if you feel like you're essentially not connected, like emotionally, spiritually to anyone or anywhere, and you're living in the concrete hellscape that is London.
Yeah.
And you don't...
Almost can't blame them.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. If that's your experience of Britain, well, I'm not surprised you hate this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And it will have been people like that will have selected this lady as the representative.
They're all going to be...
And she is their representative in that way.
Right? And so in a way, like, she is an accurate representation of that thing that currently wears the face of Britain, right?
Yes, yes.
But anyway, at the time she was 10th favourite to win, and this year's conference took place in Liverpool because it was supposed to take place in Ukraine, but of course they couldn't because of the war.
Yep.
Understandable. And so, she was quite, generous about Ukraine, right? We're excited to be hosting this year. Everyone knows it's Ukraine's party. It's just at our house, and okay, yeah, fine. That's fine. And I can totally, like, I'm not a supporter of Ukraine or Russia, really, but, I can understand why people would be.
I hear that makes you a fascist.
I hear that makes me all sorts of things, but I'm not pro either way, basically. But I'm sympathetic. The Ukrainians are the ones being invaded. It would be nice if they could win. There you go, right? So anyway, we'll get to the song itself. We get to the next one. So I'm not gonna play any of it, but it's not my sort of music. It's very much modern London music. Not my kind of music at all. But I went to the comments and had a look to see how this was being received, and it wasn't received.
Like to dislike ratio.
Yeah. I actually couldn't see that when I was making the song because I didn't have the add-on. I didn't even know that it was massively downvoted compared. Seriously, this vocal performance was no better than a subpar X Factor audition. I mean, her singing was okay, but her London accent did come out a lot in it, right? I don't know what happened. She danced like my drunk auntie and her voices sounded like Trisha Paytas. I don't know who that is. Next time I go to Primark, I'm going to hear this playing. So, the BBC literally said they wanted a female singer with a banger this year. When you choose according to identity rather than merit, this is what happens. It still baffled me that no one checked to see if she could sing live before choosing the song.
Brutal.
Yeah, rough.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think she's a bad person or anything. I think that she has been chosen as a representative of a certain kind of culture that is identity driven, as this person points out. And this has reaped the expected results because Britain came second to last.
Yeah.
Germany was the only nation to finish lower than us. So suck it, Germany.
As always.
As always. But really, it's not too much to gloat over. But anyway, so a bunch of people accused the BBC of sabotaging her because of their technical difficulties. Viewers claimed that they could barely hear her over the backing music. And this, the set generally wasn't amazing. And I do genuinely feel bad for her, right? Because she would have been in an environment where everyone around her would have been like, no, you're brilliant. You're the
best.
Just
yes man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just constant yes man. Very little constructive criticism, right? And this undoubtedly was devastating for this young woman who isn't responsible for this.
No.
You know, in a way. Like,
well, this is the culture of these industries, isn't it? The music industry, the film industry, and and so on. These people never. It's actually a cruelty in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
For these people to be just told from all sides that they're amazing and perfect and all that, and then the brick wall of reality hits them in the face, as we've seen here.
Exactly.
And again, I'm sure this lady is not a bad person.
I'm sure
she must be feeling miserable right now, devastated. Look at that picture.
Yeah, just absolutely heartbroken. It's like, right, so this industry, I mean, like the tone of the song, right? They all tell you, writing a song about how you wrote a song because you broke up with your ex-boyfriend, that'll go down brilliantly, right? And then, like, I just feel that she was completely set up for failure, and no one warned her that this was going to happen. So it's like the highest high and then devastating crash. Yeah. If it was slightly different, I would have been, and if she was a different person, maybe I'd feel less sympathetic, but like, I do genuinely feel bad for her, right? And so no wonder a lot of her fans were like, well, they set her up to fail. And it's like, kind of, but not in the way you're saying.
Yeah, not in the literal, materialistic way that they think.
Exactly.
It's more like a spiritual setting up for failure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she's not the author of, well, frankly, the kind of person that she is, the environment that she's in, the culture that has done this to her. She's not the author of any of this, right? And the thing is, this is especially disappointing because last year, a British person, Sam Ryder, came second with a song called Spaceman. Now, he likely would have come first, but of course the Ukrainians won, yes, because of the Russian war, which is totally understandable, totally laudable, actually, and honourable. And if I was Sam Ryder and I'd come first and the Ukrainians had come second, you'd probably have been like, well, I'd like to give it to the Ukrainians.
Yeah. It is, I think it's worth pointing out, that is an exercise in propaganda. That's a value-free judgment. It is an exercise in propaganda, but you can understand it.
But it's also an exercise in kind of propriety as well, right?
Yeah.
If
deference.
Exactly, and respect and decency, right? Yeah. And so, it's not that the Europeans are instinctively going to vote against Britain just because it's Britain, because of Brexit, which they probably in previous eras they may have done. But so it's not like they were being prejudiced or anything, right? They are just not deferential. And I mean, if you go to the next one, that previous one, is the video. Right, this was the guy's song again. I'm not going to play any of it. To be honest with you, I thought this was worse than her song.
Oh, really?
I did not enjoy the guy. These guys got a very falsetto tone of voice, and I personally didn't enjoy it. But you notice that it's not this dramatically solipsistic thing, right? He's talking about slightly loftier concerns. But anyway, but this wasn't the reason that I found myself bothered by this, because it was just how Mae Muller was able to represent Britain after having tweeted, and it was only like in 2020. Like, it's not like she'd tweeted this 10 years ago or something. That she literally said, "I hate Britain, I hate this country," and she decided that she wasn't going to take that back. So right, okay. So in 2020, her social media highlights included, as Boris Johnson lay in hospital with COVID, "I don't feel sorry for him. Hundreds have died due to Tory policies."
Name them.
Yeah, name them. "Nurses are literally dying because of you." No, if they were dying of anything, it would have been COVID, surely. Boris Johnson wasn't the architect of COVID. And he actually did everything that you wanted him to do on COVID, which is not what I wanted him to do on COVID, right?
No doubt when she says that Tory policy has killed millions of people, whatever what she said, that's because they didn't lock down hard enough. And presumably, this sort of culture will that will be the perspective.
And she'll never in any way look at what happened as a consequence of lockdowns, but anyway. And she had also posted, quote, "I hate this country."
Yep.
And that person represents Britain to the rest of Europe. Did she regret the tweets? Quote, "No, because that's how I felt." Why should I support you as the representative of Britain if you're literally, "I hate this country and I'm not taking it back"?
Again, think about think about representation and what this country actually is, at this point, the way that we are perceived on the global stage. Do you know what? I actually wonder, she probably does represent us.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Self-hating.
It speaks to the sickness that is destroying this country.
That's the right word. Yeah.
That we can't seem to get better from.
Yeah.
It really does. And, she carries on to justify herself, because she's not just like, "I hate Britain always forever," right? She says, I hate this country is not ideal as I am representing this country, but I love where I'm from. Do you though? You know, it's a privilege to be born here, and that's why I felt strongly. We deserve the best, and at this time, this amazing country wasn't getting the best. We are being let down. Okay, well, when was it amazing? You give me the date, right? Because really, I think what you're saying is, I've been promised a bunch of very progressive things that don't exist anywhere, and now I'm looking around, and they certainly don't exist here, and now I'm annoyed that I've been, and she literally says, you know, we're being let down.
Yeah, been lied to.
By who? You know, by the progressive people in the milieu in which you exist, you know? And so you find yourself hating Britain because you've been promised utopia.
Yeah, by the sort of Rousseauian Marvel merchants.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. You know, the Marvel merchants. That's a great phrase. But the thing is, the BBC didn't like make her delete these or anything. Did you get a call from them? They're like, no, they didn't make me scrub my personality. They were just like, yeah, it's fine if you hate Britain. You can represent Britain. Of course, why would that be a problem?
I mean, it's no surprise because the BBC is populated by the same type of people.
Of course it is.
You know, populated by friends of hers.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So, like a lot of people who did have a problem with what I said were from the UK. Obviously, a lot of the Europeans didn't care. They said, "You've lost my vote," and she's like, "Well, you can't vote for me anyway." Well, I mean, can you not vote in the European Song Contest?
I must admit, I'm not an expert on Eurovision.
I'm sure there was some. There's got to be. Maybe it's
there's a voting process.
Maybe it's delegates there. Or
maybe it's
voting. Right. Okay.
But again, the spirit of what's being said, though, you've lost my vote.
Yeah.
Like she should look at that for what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
She should think, okay, these people feel what. I mean, it's the most literal way of saying you do not represent me.
Yes.
It's in a democracy, you don't have my vote. That's you saying I don't feel that you represent me.
Exactly.
And if this is about representation, then she should look at that and think, well,
why not?
That's not great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're like, and she's literally like, I don't care.
Yeah. The attitude is, well, do one then.
Yeah, exactly. She says, a lot of young women follow me, and it's important that they see that they can have a voice.
Where is that?
What are you talking about? How many female prime ministers? We were just reigned over for 70 years by a queen.
Yeah.
Like, there's just not an issue in this country. And I'm sorry.
A voice to say what? To say, I wrote a song.
A voice to say, I matter, me, and I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah.
Don't vote for me. You know, I can't take it, man. But they say, like, you know, Eurovision is officially a non-political event. It's like, really?
Wow.
Really? Yeah. But anyway, she gets to be political, right? And she gets to say that she hates all these things.
Sorry, just very quickly, it's the kind of obscuring of the political
that
someone like Paul Gottfried would talk about, right? It's this kind of this attitude that this thing, statements and positions and events that actually do have a political character, like Eurovision, are presented as being mere neutral platforms, that don't have any bearing on politics at all. But that's clearly not the case. I mean, from this story alone,
the liberal fiction that there are non-political political spaces.
Exactly.
Basically. Yeah. But what I find interesting is the way that she conceives of the country. and her background, I think, is interesting because I would have thought if I were the one with that background, I'd have a different opinion on this country, right? So they say in this, she was born in the UK in 1997. Her surname is from her grandfather. Yeah, she's a child of Blair. Right.
As am I.
Yeah, exactly. As are many young people now, all young people now, really. But her surname is from her grandfather, Robert, a Jew who fled Germany for Britain. And thanks to Germany's reconciliatory process of giving citizenship to descendants of Nazi persecution, the UK's Eurovision entrant will soon have a German passport. Isn't that weird?
Well, again, it is this kind of, I said it just now, the sort of anywhere person, what Scruton would call an anywhere person, who can you can pluck them out of any metropolitan city, be it London, Berlin, New York, and and so on, and you can just place them wherever, and they feel just as at home, because home to them is not and it's not an attachment to a particular place filled with particular people. It's an attachment to a kind of, again, this soulless, glass and steel jungle.
When she says, "I love where I'm from," but then can say, I hate Britain.
Yeah. She's saying she's not from Britain.
She's saying she's from London, which is the international city, which is like, so it could be Kuala Lumpur, it could be anywhere, right? So I just find this very interesting, right? But, and she says, it means we can live in Spain. It also means we can tour the EU with minimal paperwork. It's like, how British does that feel? It's just internationalist, that is, right? And so again, an internationalist is representing Britain, talking about herself, saying that she hates this country. And I'm just like, God, all of these things just show that we are essentially an occupied country at this point. We're being occupied by the international order.
Yes.
Right? And again, the Jewish Chronicle put an article about this, and I found this really interesting, right? Because in July 2020, responding to anti-Semitism in the music industry, Muller posted to Instagram, "To all my Jewish friends and followers, I love you. There is no place for anti-Semitism in this world. I am very proud of my Jewish roots, and so should you." I've never even heard of anti-Semitism in the music industry, but okay, fair enough. My granddad fled from Nazi Germany to the UK when he was 12 on his own. I always find myself trying to imagine how scared he must have been. So F Wiley and F anyone who shares those views. I stand with all my Jewish friends, family, supporters always well. Okay, right. So you love your granddad. You empathize with his plight, fleeing from the Nazis to Britain. Granddad sets up a new life in Britain. Must have liked the place. Probably eternally grateful. I mean, I've seen there on LBC a while ago, there was a Holocaust survivor, an old chap who was like, "Oh, I loved England when I came here. This was a magical place, not like that now." And they were all like, "What do you mean?" He's like, you know, and you knew what he was thinking.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course.
But the point is, these people genuinely had a love of this country, and she has a love for her grandfather. Hates Britain. Like, how can you get to that point? You know, the reason you exist, because your family was saved by Britain, you'd think you'd have some sort of emotional attachment to the ancestral aid that Britain has given you.
Absolutely.
You know? And this happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of them do, you know. And so it's like Afua Hirsch is the same.
Yeah.
Right? Her grandfather and grandmother fled Ghana and Nazi Germany from persecution, comes here, hates Britain.
Yeah, and she's one of the worst for it.
She
as
is
well.
one of the worst.
Hates this country.
And I just can't get over it. So anyway, I really get annoyed with the people who have to represent us or are allowed to represent us. And I wish they would just think about themselves a little bit more, because actually, you know, you're trapped in a system that you don't like, clearly. But anyway.
Perhaps reflect on themselves a little bit more, because they clearly think about themselves far too much as it is.
Good point. I should have framed it that way. But it could be worse. We could be Germany. So,
God.
Do you want to just play this without music, John? Everything going all right, Germany?
That looks like a healthy civilization.
You sent Lord of the Lost to play Blood and Glitter at the Eurovision. Really? Really? Got anything you want to tell us? Decided that Christianity not your thing? Getting strong Weimar vibes.
That's literally what was going through my head just now.
I'm glad this came last. I'm really glad this came last.
Like, don't get me. I mean, this like punk rock aesthetics have always had a certain amount of this.
Sure.
But this is just.
But there's a time and a place, right?
Well, yeah. And again, we're talking about representation. We're complaining about how somebody who says, "Oh, I hate this country," is representing us. Yeah. This is what Germany are being represented by. What constituency is this representing?
The average German represented. I mean, at least our woman is, you know, like, just kind of lost and set adrift in a current of forces she doesn't understand and doesn't control, right?
Yeah, a kind of sad. There's a sadness to it.
Yeah, it's melancholic, right? Yeah. You know, it's not humiliating.
No,
like
it's not humiliating.
It's like, if I were a German, I'd be looking at this going, God, what must they think of us? Because honestly, this is just embarrassing, and no wonder you came last. I mean, it's just like. But I mean, the Germans do have a strain of this in them, actually.
Well, I was going to say there is a sort of distinctly German flavour to this. Has to be said.
Again, once you adopt a sort of new set of principles, the Germans do have a habit of taking that to the most extreme, and this is very German, I have to say. I lived down in Germany for 8 years, man. You like most Germans are actually, you know, nice.
Yeah.
Like socially conservative,
traditional people.
Yeah, they dress well. They're well spoken. They're very polite, but then they get into this sort of excitable mode, which ends up promoting extreme degeneracy. Which
what's that? There's some German phrase. It's the drive towards the absolute.
Yeah,
I forget the actual German.
Douglas Murray uses it in The Strange Death of Europe. I don't know.
This is that made flesh.
Yeah, it's like, is there anything wrong with this happening? Well, no, not technically. There's nothing wrong. Well, then it's good in every case. It's like, no, actually, when it's supposed to be representing your country on the world stage, is deeply embarrassing. And everyone was like, no, I'm voting against that.
Yeah,
you know. So anyway, just a quick thing: representation does matter, and we need to think about what's representing us.
Thank you very much for watching that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to support our work, make sure to sign up to our website where we have videos like this. This is Contemplations, which is my series, and this is episode 124, How to Think Better, where I look at ways of mitigating cognitive biases. And also, if you want to support us on social media, my Twitter is Twitter/Josh Firm. Thank you for watching.